Okay, so about a little over a day before the Ethereum merge, I know there's a bunch of questions on kind of what to expect, and this is one of the biggest blockchain events since a blockchain was created. So basically, Ethereum is moving over from what they're calling a 2.0, from proof of work to proof of stake. So what that basically means is, miners are validating, processing transactions. So on proof of work, which is what we're currently on, and so we're moving over to proof of stake, which is validators. Actually, you're staking um, coins or tokens, and you have to have 32 in order to become a validator, and then they're processing transactions through that. So we're doing a fork for basically if you own one Ethereum right now, proof of work. After the merge, you're going to have one Ethereum proof of work and one Ethereum proof of stake. So basically, when a fork happens, which is there have been a number of forks throughout the years with different crypto projects, Bitcoin, everything in between. Basically, when you're taking a line of code and you're taking the certain aspects of that line of code and then adding onto it, you can't do that on the current blockchain. You have to do what's called a fork. So that's what's happening. So when we're going from proof of work to proof of stake, um, we have to fork and basically veer off chain. So that would create one token here and one token there. So that's literally what's going to be happening tomorrow. If you guys see this video after, it can still you can still use it and apply it to kind of what you're doing on Ethereum. Ethereum has most of the volume, most of the transactions. So this really affects NFTs, your DeFi liquidity, your stable coins, um, your layer two projects. Basically, anything on Ethereum is going to be impacted by this. And so really need to get educated on how you want to, where to hold your funds, what's going to happen to your different projects, whether it's USDC, stable coins, liquidity, DeFi, all that stuff is going to be impacted. So this is kind of going to go over that. Basically, to start the video again, uh, right here, you guys can go the same website and see exactly when the merge is happening. The idea, 1 day and 7 hours from now, is when the merge happens. So you want to do your transaction, get ready for this at least a couple hours before, because you don't want to be transferring funds during the merge where it's going to be, they're basically two different chains going on. So there's a lot, you just want to stay away from that. That's why I say at least a couple hours before is when you want to, educate yourself before. Your transaction should happen at least a couple hours before. So this is 1 day and 7 hours. You can see this site actually has some resources as well on what to do. So one thing that's going to be happening too, as we get, um, as we get closer to the actual, um, to the date, and we're experiencing right now. Okay, I had a little issue with the video, but we're back. So as we get closer to the date, well, tomorrow, and then this merge, you'll start to see this is a Ethereum gas tracker. So as more and more transactions happen, obviously on Ethereum, these gas fees will get higher. So I mean, before they were trading, these they were even less than this. But as you'll start to see closer tomorrow, just notice that these numbers will start to get higher, maybe 30s, 50s, closer to 100 even, as more and more transactions happen, which I assume is going to be happening. So this is a good tracker to kind of see where the transactions are happening, and then also what you're going to be paying to transfer funds, um, NFTs, DeFi, all that stuff. So here's the next part of this. So I come over here. This is actually the E2.0 beacon chain smart contract. This is where funds are basically when we have your proof of work and proof of stake. There's already people that committed to using the proof of stake, and they locked up their Ethereum in a smart contract, so they could not lock it until actually the we go live with the 2.0 beacon contract. So right now there's over 13 million Ethereum locked up, which is about 21, a little close to $22 billion in ETH at the current price. So what's going to happen is once that merge happens, any if you've already been, some people have been locking up funds for like 8, 9 months, year, some couple months. When that transfer happens on the merge, these funds are going to be accessible to be traded. So some people believe, that these people are long-term ETH. They'll probably still hold. Some people believe they've been holding on for 6, 8 months. That some, a majority of people could actually sell Ethereum. So we probably right after the merge, we're going to have some, a little bit, probably a little bit of roller coaster as far as the price value of Ethereum 2.0. If you're long term ETH, it probably doesn't affect you, but just know that probably in for a little bit of a wild ride right after the merge because we got a lot of money that's locked up that hasn't been able to be touched. So know that going into it, we could see a number of different scenarios. Here's the actual mainnet for Beacon. Let's see, right here. So this is the actual site. Um, and then this is going to be the Beacon chain. This is basically the transaction already happened on here. We're getting the full merge tomorrow, so everybody on Ethereum will be using this chain. That's essentially how it goes. So here's the current price. This is a good indicator, guys, basically on what Ethereum is going to be doing. So you can see the merge right here as well. So right now Ethereum is over a little over 1,600. So what happens? This is we're on the chain right now, the 18 right now. There's a couple things that's going to happen. So like I said, you're gonna have your ETH proof of work and your ETH proof of stake. You're gonna have one of one if you keep it, on chain or an exchange that supports the uh, the the merge. So most of them are going to. So you're gonna have basically right here. The part that gets a little bit tricky is right now. I'm going to go over to what the ETH proof of stake is going at. See, if you go over here, this is representing the 2.0. This is kind of like a future price of what they believe or what the price is trading at for your proof of stake token that you're going to be getting. So as you can see before, this is trading at about 1589. And this is 1618, right? So we have about what roughly a about $30 difference between that. So right now it's about the ETH proof of stake is about $30 less than Ethereum right now. And they're asking like, why is that happening? Because you are literally going to be receiving a ETH proof of work token, which is basically the chain right now. And then once we fork, you'll have both. So there's about a $30 price in, and where's the $30 coming from? It's right here. So ETH POW. If you hold it on your MetaMask or a exchange that supports it, you're going to be receiving this and the proof of stake. So that would basically those together is essentially right now trading at the proof of work price or the Ethereum price. So just know that going into it. One of the plays with this is anytime there's a fork with Bitcoin or any token, and it's adapted and exchange, they're picking it up. What a number of people will do is they'll receive their ETH proof of work and the proof of stake. Maybe they're long-term ETH and not really for the proof of work. They might go ahead and go to exchange and trade this. So if you have 10 ETH and you receive 10 ETH, proof of work, well, that's right now it's trading at $30. So you receive $300 essentially, and you could go and trade that. So, and here's an idea: since they've been tracking this with futures, the high of ETH proof of work is about $140. So I think we'll see some drastic price changes with this. You might be willing. You might want to play the trade right away, or maybe you're long term, like you want to see both chains working out, kind of like where our first fork with Ethereum Classic, and Ethereum Classic has gone up. So just kind of depends on how you feel about ETH proof of work. So that's basically explains the price and how you're going to receive two different tokens and kind of what you can do from there. So the next part of this really is how how you deal with like NFTs um, and different um, liquidity and everything that involves Ethereum. So Ethereum is smart contracts, NFTs. It has basically everything. It essentially runs on Ethereum. So, for example, the biggest NFT marketplace, OpenSea, has come out and said they won't support fork NFTs post merge. So what this basically means, and a lot of projects are following this, is let's say you have a board ape on OpenSea, um, and how a fork usually works is you'll you will get two essentially two board apes, one on the proof of work chain and one on the proof of stake chain. And so OpenSea and other marketplaces already said they're only going to support the proof of stake. But if you actually had an exchange where, since you have essentially two board apes now, you could go and trade your exchange your proof of work, one that's not, accepted or won't not supported on OpenSea, and you could go exchange it on a different marketplace and essentially have free money. So that's kind of how that works. You got to basically see from marketplace to marketplace how they're going to support or not support. So if you're holding yours in your MetaMask wallet, you're on chain, you're going to receive essentially two NFTs. Basically, it's like a duplicate token, and then you can do what you want. Majority exchanges are only going to support your proof of stake ETH. So the next part of this really is how does that impact you know DeFi, your staked ETH, all that. So there's just a couple different articles. Like we said, you're getting one of each if you hold on chain. Different, you got to go through different exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, all these ones. Some of them will be supporting your ETH POW, and some of them will only support your proof of stake. So you would ideally, if you're holding ETH, you either want to hold it in your main wallet or an exchange that supports both, because that's essentially free money. So if they're not supporting it, whatever exchange, they're getting your proof of work tokens, which right now are trading at $30, but over at all time high over 140. So if you hold 100 ETH and you pull it on an exchange where they're not supporting it, they're getting all that free money to ETH POW to trade at their own will. So you want to know where your funds are and look into actually what they're doing, what their protocol is. I just like holding stuff on myself, being my own bank, because I can control and not rely on exchange. Just maybe do something and actually when it happens, do something else. So you want to ideally probably hold your own tokens or an exchange that you actually really trust and they're very transparent. So this just goes more into that. DeFi protocols also. So like in DeFi protocols like Uniswap and anything that's decentralized, or Aave, the lending protocols, you are going to be in those protocols. You're staking, you're farming, or whatever you're doing, or you have certain tokens on Ethereum. You're going to be receiving one token for each token that you hold on proof of work and one for proof of stake. So when that happens, it's really up to the protocol on how they interact with it, or how if they're going to accept which one they're actually adopting. So like Aave and a couple other ones, they're all mainly going towards proof of stake. So if you owned, let's say, a token on proof of work, then you're going to be receiving the same token on proof of stake. And then they probably will adapt the proof of stake. So your proof of work token will most likely essentially be worthless unless they have a market that's available to trade it. So what some people are doing on liquidity is they're moving all their liquidity out and then holding it in ETH until the snapshot happens, and then maybe providing back in the liquidity, because that way they're getting the ETH proof of work token, proof of stake token, and then they go back into liquidity. Then you can also just, it depends on how platform is interacting, but you want to read and see exactly how, if they're stopped, like Aave decided that they're going to stop loans up until the merge, because there's a couple glitches which could happen, which could take out liquidity. So you want to read that kind of stuff if you have any funds in DeFi protocols, NFTs, all that stuff, because it can actually hurt your wallet significantly if you're not educated on how to go about this. This goes over how the NFTs, Ethereum based games. So like Axie Infinity already came out and stated that they are adapting ETH proof of stake. So you don't really have to do much if you already hold an Axie Infinity. They're going to be going over to proof of stake, basically not validating proof of work transactions. So you want to go from project to project, token to token, and really see. So here's another article. So how to profit from token airdrops. This is like fork. So there's been a lot of forks throughout the past. Like we said, once you receive one of each, there's different arbitrage and trading where you could actually make money really quick in the markets if you play it right. So Ethereum Classic and Ethereum, you can make money with Ethereum Classic. People still hold Ethereum Classic. That was a fork. Um, Different, basically how to prepare, um, mining revenue. This is kind of going over different aspects. The reason why ETH POW is going to still exist and adopted, because miners that are currently mining it are basically want to stay where they have a revenue source, and so that chain is going to continue. Where proof of stake is basically if you're holding the token. So that's why essentially why it's going to be still around, and it's still going to have value. As you can see, it's trading at about $30 right now. Okay, here's another article. We're going to just briefly go over these as this video is going a little longer. So, what does Ethereum mean for layer two? So, layer two projects, we've been big on them, like Scale. Um, uh, we got a bunch of them, Polygon, different layer two projects where they're basically helping Ethereum scale. So, those projects, if you're holding Ethereum on there, you are not going to be receiving, depending on how they react with the merge. But if you just hold it on, they're not coming out with any statement on it. You are not going to be receiving. If you hold ETH on there, you won't be receiving two ETH POW and proof of stake. So a good idea, if you hold on a layer two project like Polygon, you take those off and hold on your mainnet Ethereum, and then once you get the snapshot and some time, maybe a day or two passes, and let the dust settle, you could put it back on Polygon, because then you'll get your free proof of work, proof of stake. You're only holding like one or so, it's not really going to be a huge deal. But if you hold a significant amount of funds over on Polygon or different layer two project, Arbitrum, Scale, like different ones that are out there, it would be a good idea to move over to your mainnet Ethereum. So this basically goes over kind of arbitrage and how to play the upgrade. So there's different ways to make money on this play. Like you could essentially on proof of work, and when it moves over proof of stake, you could sell your proof of work right away. That's the easiest, quick way. If you're holding on exchange or you're holding on your main net, you will receive two. So you could go and transfer over to exchange and then sell your proof of work. Right now, $30 at all time, 140. So if it skyrockets up right away, you could exchange it right away. Another one kind of loophole is like USDC and all these stable coins are coming out and saying they're not accepting um, proof of work, and they're only going to be doing proof of stake. So if you hold USDC on proof of work chain, and then it at the snapshot it gets transferred that you own a dollar USDC on both chains, the USDC on proof of work is going to be essentially worthless. So if it's on exchanges, it's going to drop like crazy. So different protocols that are used on lending, if that USDC is dropped like crazy, it's going to essentially zero. What could happen if the chain is not updated and they're not adapting to the new chain? Your USDC that you supplied or borrowed against or whatever you're using could go down to zero right away, and that could cause some issues with liquidity, um, and actually liquidation, all that stuff. So there's ways to make money on that as well from the other side. If you're borrowing like a worthless USDC and it's still on the same chain, well, they would liquidate your USDC, but whatever you used as your your supplier borrower, however you structure the transaction, would still be transferred over to the new chain. So you could, let's say you like borrowed ETH against it, your ETH would transfer over. You have the ETH, but if you're supplying the USDC, then it will drop to zero. So liquidate your USDC, but you still have the ETH. So there's ways like you can, if the protocol still accepts it, you could actually make a huge amount of money arbitraging this play, depending on how you structure it and what protocol is accepting. You would have to literally go through each protocol and how they are going to, adapt and react to this merge. It's a good idea. Like Aave, for example, already came out and said we're not going to allow loans on USDC in the protocol because of this kind of arbitrage. And different protocols have already said that. But there's a bunch of different liquidity protocols and lending protocols where you could look and see kind of how they're going to react. And if you can find arbitrage, then and you trust it, then it might be a good play for you. And here's just the last part. Like we said earlier, Aave already came out, says they're stop loaning Ether ahead of the merge. So this is going to be pretty popular, but not every protocol is like this. So it's a good idea to see, what you're using, and then kind of how it affects. Because I feel like we're going to be these next couple of days going to be in for a wild ride. It's good to prepare now, see the gas fees, see what protocol you're using, look at your liquidity, look at your NFTs, everything that you currently hold in your Ethereum based wallet. You want to go ahead and go step by step, go through each project and see what they're doing. If you're on Coinbase, go and see how Coinbase is reacting to this merge, if they're going to accept proof of work. You want to go exchange by exchange. So it's a good idea to see which ones are actually accepting proof of work and then which one's proof of stake, or if they're doing both. So that's basically it for this video. Again, see when the merge is happening, how to react, what exchanges are we on, centralized, decentralized, how do we make money off this, make sure we're adapting to the different protocols and kind of what they're telling us. You have to go situation by situation. It will be different, but just know that when the fork happens, if you're holding it, you should be receiving proof of work and proof of stake ETH. You can hold, you can sell, and then you're also NFTs, DeFi. You're going to be receiving both, so you can either make money, little arbitrages. You can sit on the sidelines. There's a number of different ways. Just make sure that you're educating yourselves on kind of where to go from there. That's basically it for this video. Hope you guys got some value, and check out some future videos.